Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Welcome to One View Review. So what is One View Review, you may ask? So this is a channel where I, a regular guy, just reviews movies that I have recently watched. So this is, like the name says, I watch it once and then I just review it. I'm not some advanced movie critic. I don't have a film degree with a full understanding of movies. I just give you what I think and how I feel of it. And hopefully, as time goes on, I get a little bit smarter with what I think about movies. And hopefully, not only I get smarter, but you get smarter. And we both learn along the way. I might also miss some small things here or there, some story elements that might go past me because it is a one view review. It is just based off the initial feel and the initial reaction of the movie. My ultimate goal is just to give you some notes about what I think of the movie and help you decide if you'd like to watch it as well. I will be watching movies that I've watched in the past, possibly several times, and brand new movies that are out in theaters right now. Today, we are starting with... Nope, not that one. The 2009 J.J. Abrams one. And yes, since the movie is about 14 years old, I will be sharing spoilers. So starting off the bat, the space CGI has aged super well after over a decade, and it looks fantastic. There's a lot of movies from that similar time that didn't age super well. Even The Flash that just came out last year didn't age super well. It looks pretty bad. But I will say there are movies from that era that specific visuals still hold up, kind of like the Transformers movie that came out around the same time, where the transformation of the Transformers themselves looks super cool. The difference between the two is the Transformers story does not hold up. It's stinky.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I mean, right off the bat, you're thrown into a battle with the main villain that really shows how much of a threat he is. No time to waste, no slow backstory that takes 5-10 minutes to really begin. Kind of like the Superman movie, Man of Steel. It's just a little slow in the beginning, showing things that we don't really need to know. So this one really does establish it's going to be fast. It's also funny to see Chris Hemsworth in this movie for like 5 minutes. I wonder, like, the big actors with the small roles, why do they do movies like that? It's always interesting to see them for 5 minutes. It's like Matt Damon in Thor Ragnarok. He was on there for 3 minutes tops. So it's just interesting to see. It must be that they just want to be as part of the movie franchise. Another cool thing is the juxtaposition between Spock's life and Kirk's life is a nice touch. Kirk is just like a crazy kid who gets in trouble all the time, while Spock, he's got his own problems with his life as a half Vulcan, half human on his planet where people just don't treat him the same. The classic introduction of two polar opposite characters that will butt heads in the future. It's kind of cool to see. It wasn't overplayed or overdone at the time. And that is another thing. I am kind of gauging these movies at the time that they came out because I think it'd be unfair to judge them by current standards. Another thing that I really enjoyed is there's this shot in the bar fight scene near the beginning of the movie that is iconic, that I still think about every once in a while. I don't know much about cinematography, but this shot of the fist moving, then shifting the focus to the captain is next level. It's burned into my brain, and every once in a while, when I hear about this movie, I immediately think of that shot. So cool. I do think it's funny that after this scene when the captain is enticing Kirk to join Starfleet, the thing that got him to go was the line, "I dare you to do better." I think that the idea that the story might not have happened if the guy wasn't so stubborn is kind of funny. Like, he really caused all that stuff to happen on a dare. He technically saved the planet on a dare, which is kind of funny to think.
That sounds like a dare, Harry.
It's a double dare.
If only he had one more drink, or if only he decided to stay home that day, how quickly things could have changed. Set design, world building, just great overall. I do like the alien costumed actors. It's kind of interesting to see. It's funny to think that this person did 6 hours of makeup maybe, and then potentially waited several more hours to actually shoot the scene that they needed to. And then for what? A 2-second scene of the character walking by. Even funnier is, imagine if they cut your scene, how angry would you actually be? I will say the last cool scene that I really want to call out to is during the final battle. There's this scene where Spock is trying to crash a ship into the bad guy's ship, and it's could be catastrophic for the bad guy, so the bad guy screams at the top of his lungs,
Fire everything!
the character is shouting in desperation at a time that they have a lot to lose or nothing to lose. Either way, it's just a great scene overall, and I constantly think about it anytime that I think about this movie. Now, those are just some things I enjoyed. I will say there are a couple things that I didn't like. So the lens flares are pretty cool in the beginning for a stylistic choice, but once it's later in the movie, it gets kind of old. I know that at the time, that was like a cool thing that J.J. Abrams did, but looking back on it now, it's just interesting to kind of watch it and see this is kind of overdone. It's interesting in the beginning, but once you get at the end and two characters are just talking to each other and you're getting blinded, it's like, please stop. You are literally blinding me. This emotional scene doesn't need lens flares. I will say one of the plot elements didn't really make sense to me, and it was related to Old Spock, aka Leonard Nimoy. So in part of the story, when Kirk meets Old Spock and they have like a mind meld so that Kirk can see the future, or technically Old Spock's future. It's a little confusing. So from the explanation in the movie, they knew that this sun was going to go supernova and that the Romulan planet was going to be destroyed. So Old Spock basically volunteers to save the planet by using a ship that would create a black hole in the supernova and suck up any kind of damage to the planet. And then what was weird is I guess he went to the planet a little too late to save it with the black hole, which caused the full and complete destruction of that Romulan planet. Now, what doesn't make sense to me is how was Spock late to save the planet if they knew that the star was going to go supernova at any time? So there was enough time to assign Spock to save the planet and to build a super intricate ship and to collect this red matter. Then they could have executed the plan before the planet was destroyed. Or if not, they should have evacuated the entire planet just in case. Either the Vulcan calculations were way off when the star was going to go supernova, or Spock slept in that weekend. It's funny that he still uses the black hole device to create a black hole inside the supernova that has already destroyed the Romulan planet. Like, who are you saving? The people are already dead. Just leave.
My work is done here.
What do you mean your work is done? You didn't do anything.
Didn't I?
That's like putting a smoke detector in a house that burned down, right in the rubble. Too late, my guy. Just go home. Come a little earlier next time. Let's run it back. Next one. We'll get him next time, huh? How about that? If anybody knows or has an explanation of how that actually works, or maybe if I'm missing something, let me know down below in the comments, and yeah, I'll take a look. Maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, that scene is a little confusing. I will say, in terms of actors for this movie, they had a plethora of super popular actors, and it's interesting looking back. Maybe some of them weren't as popular, but a lot of them were already established. So right off the bat, for the movie to use the actual Leonard Nimoy from the show as Old Spock, so that's a good fan service for anybody that enjoyed or grew up watching Star Trek. It was funny also to see Billy Butcher in this movie. Another example of like a non-American who's really good at playing American characters. Also, Eric Bana plays the main villain, and it's funny that due to the makeup, it's easy to forget that he was in this movie. And also, they have a bunch of other actors that are super famous now and were pretty famous back then. The casting across the board was great. I wouldn't say that they did anything wrong with any of the casting. Everybody played who they were perfectly suited for. So yeah, getting into kind of the final bit here, overall rating. I really am a fan of just overall sci-fi movies. That's one of the types of movies that I enjoy the most. I am giving this one a 7.5 out of 10. If it had come out more recently, it would have been likely a 6 out of 10. Some of the things that this movie popularized are overused in movies these days, so it was nice to see at the time. Stick around, I will be reviewing the next two movies in the trilogy, likely together as a pair, but right now we're gonna go ahead and close it up. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.